Hey, welcome to Miles and Points Report for today, January 25th, 2024. It's a new year, my first time on this year.
Yeah.
And delighted to be
First
here.
time in a long time.
I haven't been. I've been traveling a bit. I was just got back from Thailand, so if I sound a little jet lagged, it's because I am. I'm Rudy Maxa. I'm a travel journalist and broadcaster, and I'm with my buddy Tommy Danielsen, who knows everything there is to know about hotel and frequent flyer miles and oh, he's an entrepreneur. I'm just a workaday schlepper. But anyway, we wanted to bring you up to
savvy traveler. Don't sell yourself short.
No, I'm the Savvy Traveler is what I was called on public radio, and I have a bunch of shows on public TV, which you can find on Amazon.com now, or Amazon Prime, I guess it's called. About 98 half-hour episodes on the world's great episodes. So just go in there and type Rudy Maxa in Venice or Paris or South Africa or wherever you want to go, and we may actually have a half-hour show that you might want to watch if you're going there for the first time. Okay, that's the only plug I have to give. But we've got a number of.
Speaking of Venice, I have to interrupt you there. So the Venice episode is definitely worth watching, both of them. I think it's two of them, because you have Sarah, your lovely daughter, is with you traveling on that trip.
It's funny you should mention that. It was in the first season. My daughter, I believe, had just graduated from college, or maybe was a senior. And I think I remember watching a show. I mean, I did watch after public television stations started getting complaints that this is so sick, this old guy with this young girlfriend. Yeah. And so I went back. I think I mentioned 3 times in the course of half hour, this is my daughter. But it was very funny that I got this panic call from public television saying, we're getting a lot of really bad blowback on that Venice show. And I went, what's the problem? Well, you and your girlfriend. I said, it's not my girlfriend, it's my daughter. Oh, well, Dallas station called in and some Christian people calling saying it's anyway. Enough about that. So we had about 5 or 6 things to talk about. A lot of stuff.
We got 268 things to talk about. No, I just want to tell you, the first time I saw it, because back in the day I was a big fan of yours. I watched all of your shows back in the days. And,
you got over that, yeah, right. Once you got to know me, right?
I remember seeing that episode. It's like, wow, look at that old pig. And then you like you said, it took only like 30 seconds before you mentioned, it's his daughter. So
yeah, well,
some people not paying attention. That's
some people were not paying attention, no, and I got all kinds of grief for it. Anyway,
all right. So you're excited about SAS joining the Sky Team?
I am. Since I live in Delta Fortress Hub, which is Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Delta is part of the same marketing airline group as SAS has joined. So that's nice. So I could use some miles on SAS when I go to see your mother.
You can also fly them, right? They got a pretty decent program. I don't know what the schedule will look like, but my best guess is that SAS is going to join Sky Team at the end of this year. So from January 1st of next year is going to see it. But you're seeing that they are now starting to prepare for. And I apologize in advance for my voice. I was not partying all night screaming. I honestly have had some cold or whatever that might be, but so I apologize for that. I will, what's the news about this is that they have already started to make changes to their schedule and open up a route this summer already to Atlanta to start adjusting. So you will have a nonstop route to the world's largest airport in Atlanta. Will be operated by their Airbus A320 NEO. And so they will have the smaller equipment. And then from the winter program, they will start flying the Airbus 350, which they have a few things. And also the destinations that they have is in the U.S. It's, they're flying to Newark and JFK. They got 2 daily from JFK to Copenhagen, or 1 to each. I don't remember, but they have two daily from Copenhagen to New York. I don't remember which airport. They also have 2 daily to Chicago, which I'm sure that probably will change, don't you think? Because it's such a big United hub.
Well, if the change would probably come to Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is not far from Chicago and is a Delta hub. Yeah, I don't know. They might say Chicago might be great business. Delta does serve, and
right.
They do let other airplanes land there. So, yeah.
Right. and this is an interesting thing that they're starting. So they've already started a code share and also stuff with Delta already. So they have already made an agreement with Delta. So that transition has been accelerated already because of that. So you can buy a ticket now if you're going to Copenhagen. You can buy a ticket on Delta's website. I'm sure to get into Copenhagen.
And will you get Delta miles if you fly SAS now?
Doubtful until the integration is done, which I assume that will be accelerated till the end of the year for this year.
Okay. All
right. We wanted to talk a little bit about lounges, and as you know, last week they opened up the lounge at LaGuardia, and looking at the press release,
they being Chase.
Chase, yes, of course, Chase. My apologies. Chase has started has started to do their own. So this is a collaboration between the club, which is owned by Airport Dimensions, which are the same owner as also owns Priority Pass. And so it's operated by them, and Chase has their lounges for that. So they've opened LaGuardia already, and we've seen a lot of report of people have been there the last week, and it started. You've also seen a report. It's really crowded.
Yeah, I mean, right off the and it's supposed to be really big too. They say. I mean, it's two floors, I think. But,
right.
Yeah, early reports from some bloggers in the Northeast or in the East Coast said that it was already filled up. It was hard to get into.
Right. And it's interesting to see that they also have, as you can see further down here, they have these private, they call the reserve suites that you can rent.
It's very swanky.
Yeah, and these reserve suites, they have you rent them for $2,200 to $3,000 depending on the size.
For how long?
For 3 hours.
For $2,000 or something, 3 hours.
$2,200, yes. Let's see. So
what's the idea? People have business meetings there? Or?
I think so, or maybe hang on. These are credit card shills. That's not what we wanted to see. We wanted to see the lounge.
There's a picture underneath of it. It looks like a dentist chair. If you scroll down,
right? That's the spa thing. It's
okay.
It's got something to do with that. Let me look up the thing. But these reserves, which are upstairs. In the area upstairs in the area where you can have a meeting. I can see. I feel like it's it could do a lot of other things. So the area is what they have. First of all, you get free caviar. There's a caviar service. I thought I saw some pictures of here where they did excuse me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so you get your own private bathroom, of course, and you get some hefty amenities.
You can have a wedding there. You can have a wedding there.
Yeah, you get a caviar caviar service. And
this is in the private lounge. You have the caviar service.
This is in the private lounge areas.
Okay.
Yes,
got it.
Yes.
Okay.
So you get a buffet. You look at the Alaska crab legs there, and messy platters, and all sorts of stuff. And you get you get some basic stuff like caviar and stuff included, and some other smaller things. Curated all day dining. They have the seafood tower, like to see here. So it's a little bit fancy in that sense. But they have the private showers. It doesn't to me look like it's much of a meeting space. You look here, you see those two tables there. That to me doesn't look. That looks more like a dining setup than it is for anything else. So it's up to 8 guests that can use it. And it's $2,200. If you wanted the largest one, then it cost a little bit more. It costs, as it says in this article, $3,000 for 3 hours, and then you have room for 16 people. Okay. So
you can only have a small wedding there then.
Yeah, so LaGuardia has always been the ugly duckling because of lounges. You had the United Lounge, and you had and then you have the Americans Lounge, and then you had the Continental Tiny Lounge, which was like a really, really small area. I think TWA had the lounge before they did, and now we see the Centurion Lounge, and now we have this with the new LaGuardia. But LaGuardia is kind of nobody goes to LaGuardia to hang out at a suite. You're so close to that airport from the city that I really don't see it. But it is now open for sure.
Okay, and it's crowded, and they just opened one right on the heels of it in JFK.
JFK was opened yesterday or 2 days ago.
Okay.
And the common denominator for this is that you need to have the Sapphire Reserve card in order to get into these lounges. Or if you have a priority pass, you get one free entry per year.
How about a Capital X? How about the X one though?
Yeah, that's Capital One has a competing product, and they're opening up in Dulles and
Oh, excuse me.
Denver.
This is Chase. That's right. This is
Yeah,
Chase.
Chase
Sorry,
is
sorry,
a little
sorry.
bit different than that, but
Right.
it's a great, lounges are cool, especially when you have access to them. How about
Yeah, right.
that? Yeah,
Right.
here's the JFK lounge, and it is in Terminal 4. And in Terminal 4, you have a bunch of airlines like Singapore and Etihad. And let me go to look. I had a window open that I accidentally, but who's in Terminal 4 at JFK? It is Aeromexico, Air India, Air Europa, Avianca, China Airlines, Caribbean, China Southern, Copa, and Delta is also there. El Al, Emirates, Etihad, Hainan, Hawaiian, JetBlue, which is great. So now finally, how many times have you been at JFK with flying, having a delay, and not having access to a lounge?
Right. Yeah.
So that's beautiful. Kuwait, Latam, Singapore Airlines, Virgin Atlantic, and so that's Uzbekistan Airways, WestJet, and Xiamen. So that's and it's a little bit smaller than the one in LaGuardia, but it has got views all over the place. And I assume also, so back in the day, I don't know if you remember, but they used to be a bus from Terminal 2 before that was closed down. So they're redoing now Terminal 2 and Terminal 3 to be like a new terminal. And I think also the bus hopefully will return, so you don't have to go outside of security to go between. So you can use this lounge for that terminal as well.
Nice. No, Chase lounges are very nice. Glad to have them. They're
Right.
opening and then they're opening a few more this year, as I recall. So
Yeah, they have. They opened the one in Boston already, so it's like in the Northeast already. But with such a professional company as Airport Dimension that has a lot of experience from this stuff, I think that's a good pace of rolling it out. All right. We've got some news from Frontier. They are expanding a lot. And as you could see, Atlanta to Minneapolis is now available. So that's good news for you.
Yeah.
I think that the news here isn't that an airline is opening up a ton of routes. It is that they're going head to head, competing against Delta and United and American on some of these routes head to head, which is great for the consumer because then the prices go down on various things. The thing is, however, though, you see the frequency between it's not going to have an impact from Minneapolis to Atlanta. On Delta must have 10, 15 flights a day, and they have Frontier is starting with four times a week. Same goes for DFW to Nashville 4 times a week, and Raleigh Durham to Boston 4X, which is a typically American area. Charlotte to Buffalo. So here you go. Here we have Baltimore, which is a Southwest thing. So Baltimore is a
huge Southwest hub.
But Southwest is by far the largest there. And they are planning on doing Chicago 4 times a week, daily to Charlotte, and 4 times a week to Detroit. And then here we go, Minneapolis again. You're getting Cleveland because one bad city to another. One less exciting city than another. And then also Cleveland to New York, which I think Cleveland is underserved after United, downgrade. Used to be a big con.
Well, so these cities where they only have 4 flights a day, there'll be attractive flights for vacationers or people going on family trips that don't not the business travelers to zip in that night for a meeting in the morning and come home the next afternoon. So they could still bring some fares down. They'll undercut.
They will. Like for example, DFW to Bush, Houston is twice daily, right? Then you're talking. Then you can start doing it. But and also from DFW to Chicago, this is a way if you have the guts and the miles and points to as a backup for if things go wrong. It's not a bad idea for a conscious business, a cost conscious business man to hop on some of these flights and save money. The regularity for Frontier is not bad. They got Puerto Vallarta, lots of big expansions from DFW, where they already have a lot of flights already. And so, yeah, a lot of interesting places. Not as also, you see they have a one daily from Vegas to LA. They already fly from Vegas to here to Sacramento, where I live. They've all flown that for a long time. So, as you can see, LA to San Francisco once a day. So yeah, it's low frequency, right? Where we're talking about most of this
Well,
stuff.
it's good news for some markets, and some prices may come down.
All right.
Did you talk? I mean, I've been away a couple weeks. Have you talked about the JetBlue Spirit? The
We
government
talked
saying
about
no,
that
no, no,
last
you
week,
can't
yeah.
merge.
And
Have you beaten that one to death? We don't need to do it if you
no,
have.
we didn't beat it to death. I mean, it was it was reported last week before we went live. I was me and actually David Feldman was the guest last week, and we were chatting about it. And just literally the next day, there was questions about liquidation of spirits because they are literally not making money. And they took a really violent turn after the pandemic and did not return in the same way as before. It has to do with the spending of people. The way that people spent money after the pandemic was just strange and very out of character, right? Spending a lot more on travel, flying a lot more personal travel in business class, a lot more personal travel in staying at expensive hotels and things. So
what's your guess about who might survive this?
I think they all will, but
so?
In the U.S., you have multiple get out of jail free cards. Continental has been bankrupt a couple of times since the 90s before they became United. United has been bankrupt a couple of times, and American has been bankrupt. It's like literally you get a free reset. It's the company. I don't believe for a second that a company should be too big to fail. But in this case, they are, because they can restructure and they can get a judge on their side to do all sorts of changes to pensions and all that kind of stuff. But I think that the reason why the low cost carriers are not performing as well hasn't to do with they're not filling their planes. It has to do that they don't have the same backup as the terrible three, Delta, United, and American has, that they have these frequent flyer programs, and also Alaska to that matter, and in Air Canada, they have these frequent flyer program that brings in a lot more money without the aggressive selling of miles that Advantage, Mileage Plus, and Sky Miles does to banks. All of these airlines would,
which is a huge revenue source for the airlines. Yeah, you're right.
Not
Everybody has to have a Frontier card, right?
There is not a single airline in North America. I don't believe for a second that anybody of the terrible three will be making money if it wasn't for the credit cards. Yeah. Certainly 100% American would lose billions a year based on that. So that's kind of the trajectory. High debt. And also crazy science fiction contracts with unions, with pilots and all that stuff. You have pilots at United making $550,000 a year now, which is not sustainable. And it'll end up in a new. It goes round in circle, and it's all about getting those pilots to be retire before they can for the next round, so people can get out of that with the flag on top, and of course the consumers and are paying for that. Anyway, so we're moving on to. So I think they'll both make it. So to answer your question, I think they'll both make it, and I think that they're critical. Mega mergers is not a good thing for most markets. Certainly not here, and we've had a ton of those.
Okay.
737 Max.
So the head of Boeing was, up on Capitol Hill today, meeting with senators, and some reporter got him in the hallway and asked him, how safe he felt his planes were, and he said, we don't fly a plane unless it's really, really safe, which seemed to me not a real smart thing to say, since, last year 2 of their planes fell out of the sky, and a section of the side blew off. You don't say
it was in 2019.
We only fly.
It was in 2019, and yes, I think that this guy
there's a better quote than that. You don't say we don't fly anything that's not airworthy.
No, you say you don't have a comment. Obviously
right.
He needs a little PR 101.
Yeah,
but
right.
And also in reality, everybody knows that I'm biased. I am a huge Boeing fan. I have lots of friends that used to work there, and some that still do. Not in a technical perspective now, but I have a really nice good friend of mine who worked on the 777 program with the world's most successful wide body airplane, and it's embarrassing. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, yes, the the training, there is a response. There's a responsibility at Boeing, but there's also a responsibility at the FAA. There's too much chumming going on, and the oversight. They have trusted these guys over so many years, and going back to the accidents that happen. I'm not afraid to step on a Boeing 737 Max or any other airplane for that matter, but I don't think anybody should be. But I'm looking, if we're looking at what really happened, the first accident, it came down to more that people weren't trained properly.
Trained
They were
in how to
given
handle
iPads.
it.
You can't give Banana Country Airlines an iPad to learn how to fly a new plane type, specifically when there is a weakness in the MCAS system, in the system that's supposed to control the pitch of the plane in the situation because of the weight of the engine. It's leaning forward. So should Boeing? I'm still claiming to this day, people are, oh, they should have designed one from scratch. Well, that might be true. A wide body, though, coming to market, in hindsight, yes, they should have done it. But there's nothing wrong by using electronics to move things around in an airplane.
No, they should have trained pilots better.
It's not Boeing's responsibility to do that.
I know.
It's the first accident with Lion Air was tragic, and you have to really sit down and get into it. And there just wasn't time for that with the altitude that they had. But when the first accident happened, there was so much focus and attention on it that every single Boeing 737 MAX pilot should have learned exactly what to do. I mean, I would if I was like, holy crap, my plane can go out of the sky, and if I'm at 6,000 feet, and this stuff happens, then I want to know what I need to know. The 17, 18, 20, 35, 40, 50 seconds I have, I need to know exactly what to do if it happens to my airplane while they fixed it. And so that didn't happen. And Ethiopian Airways, if you look at the report from the Ethiopian NTSB, right, that was it was just baloney from one end to another. And both the NTSB here responded a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, and also the European Commission, the French European Commission, that does kind of the same thing as the NTSB. And they said these pilots were lost in right after takeoff. There were so many things that happened. That plane would most likely have gone down regardless. And they hit a bird, and the bird hit one of the instrument reading pivot tubes that's supposed to get the air to come in to do the readings. They literally forgot to fly the plane. They were before the MCAS warning went off. They were already into trouble. So that's what happened. And it's not something that's unique to Ethiopian Airlines. I'm critical to them because they also had a 737 next generation, the generation that was from 1995 until the Max came out. They had one that went in the ocean right after takeoff in 2009 outside of Beirut. They tried to blame it on terrorism. With an Ethiopian, the airline tried to blame it on terrorism, but it was debunked out of proportion. It was complete pilot error, loss of awareness and loss of altitude because they got distracted. Things that shouldn't happen and stuff. So, but anyways, we are all the way up since you asked. But good news for Boeing now, and I think that honestly, I haven't heard anything about people being fired up there. As shareholders, I'm not a shareholder, but I think the shareholders should have a little guts. You know who's the chairman of the board up there?
No.
Larry Kellner, the guy who was the CEO of after Gordon Bethune. He ran Continental for 15 years.
Yeah.
Or was it 10, 15 years? Great guy. And that he hasn't stepped up, it's that nobody got fired. Calhoun was brought in to clean that place up. And here we are. He was hired in 2019, 2020, right? Here we are 4 years later. And this is like messy. It's like embarrassing and messy. I just can't fathom how messy, how embarrassing it is for their customer, and for embarrassing and costly it is for their shareholders. that he's still the boss. And I would expect the people who are in charge of quality control up there, a whoopsie for a door panel to fly off, that doesn't cut it, man. That's specifically not when they've lost tens of billions of dollars on the Max already. I mean, yeah. I'm sorry. But anyways, good news. It's been approved. There is a path that was launched yesterday by the FAA. Some minor things that they have to do it. They're really slapping Boeing across the nose here for sure. And they want to hold Boeing accountable for the highest standards. So they have to inspect various things. They got to do all the fasteners. And both United and Alaska has said that they're expecting the Max to start flying on Saturday, so 2 days from now.
That's fast. Yeah.
Well, they've had them on the ground for a while, so it's
apparently it takes 10 hours. I heard one news report. It takes 10 hours per plane to make sure that
they're
all
those many of the nines,
those bolts are tight. And
I mean, at the end of the day, outsourcing, Boeing did outsourcing. They got the guys in Kansas. And I don't know, who do we blame here? Do we blame management? Yes, absolutely. Managements are in charge, but we also blame unions because they press so hard, and Boeing needed to lower their costs. So they moved the production to to the south, to like South Carolina or some stuff like that, or Charlotte. I don't know where they are. They're like down there somewhere in the south and making some airplanes. And they moved the headquarters first to Chicago, then they moved the headquarters to DC. I just know what the hell they're doing, but it obviously has big, you have a duopoly now, but the Chinese are kind of moving in. So there's a lot to be said about that, even though they haven't gotten real far just yet. But this Boeing Safety Review Culture Report, that needs to be done, and it needs to be done properly. They need to, and I personally think that a round of firings is warranted up there.
Okay,
but good news I saw that you sent over to me, which I hadn't noticed, is that there's good news for Boeing. They just got an order for 737 MAX jets from
EASA Airlines,
EASA Air in India. Yes,
yeah. And it came right on the heel of the panel blowing out. So it was sort of, it was
lost in space. Yes, I saw that.
If EASA could have waited a little longer, they probably could have negotiated a lower price for their 150 jets. But anyway, yeah, this airline.
It's not Alaska. It's EASA Air.
EASA, yes. Did I say Alaska?
No, did I say EASA? It kind of looks a little bit like.
I know. When you see it on type, it looks like just a K instead of an L. EASA, right. Yeah. Apparently, they want to expand rapidly in India and elsewhere, and they need some planes. So over the next few years, they're going to buy 150 Boeing, which good news for Boeing, since Airbus, as I recall, last year outsold them.
Right, they did.
They
most certainly did. And we are also going to also worth noting that Boeing, moving to the next thing, is that Airbus also has their own problems.
Right.
They are now so they had the classic version of the excuse me, the classic version of the Airbus 320 series has these the extension of the wings that or these what's called a sharklet, the ones that kind of goes up in the air at the end to improve fuel burn. There was cracks in the wing observed on those, and now they found it also at all the NEOs, the newer versions of the Airbus 320. So they have to now the EASA, which I'm sure that we will also see the FAA do the same thing. They have ordered a directive where you have to inspect the wings for cracks.
Okay.
So, and then the NEOs were started manufacturing in a couple of years, so around the same time as the Max, a little bit before. But so it's newer planes there as well. All right, back to miles and points, which is interesting for us. This is good news for those with mortgages. That BILT is soon going to be offering you to earn miles and points on your mortgage payments. How about that?
I knew they just got a big round of few $100 million in new financing, and they're now
They
valued
did.
as a $3 billion company. But
Exactly,
really, oh,
and
that's
I couldn't be more happier. Our friends there, Dave Canty is one of the brightest guys in loyalty I know. He used to work at JetBlue and used to run IHG's hotel loyalty program, and now he was in from day one working this project and is one of the top dogs over there. And
Well, should I give a thumbnail description of the BILT card since I use it for my rent?
Go for it.
For
Yes,
somebody,
absolutely.
if not familiar with the card, it's issued by Wells Fargo. And for example, I live in St. Paul, and every month I have paid my rent. And I've been using a credit card to do it just to get points, which is pretty stupid because I'm also charged $60 a month. That's $720 a year just to put my rent on a credit card. And along came BILT. It was one guy's idea. And I now pay BILT the rent, and they issue a check, which doesn't come with a fee, to my landlord or the owner of the building or the management anyway. So I've saved $720 a year on a card that costs me nothing, and it's called BILT, BILT. And this is news to me. I'm hearing from Tommy for the first time that they're going to let people pay their mortgage with that too. So if you pay your mortgage with your BILT card, you're going to get a lot of points. And BILT has all kinds of, I mean, they have a number of transfer partners, including Hyatt hotels. And every month, the first of the month, they tell you a special thing like, if you use it on a restaurant on the first of the month, it's called Rent Day specials.
Right.
You'll get 10 points instead of one. I became globalist on Hyatt this year because they had a deal with Hyatt that if you stayed within 3 months, if you stayed 20 nights, you could become a globalist instead of staying 60 nights a year.
Right.
So BILT has all kinds of little advantages, but primarily the ability to get points for paying your rent or now your mortgage. When does that start up? Do they have any indication?
It hasn't been confirmed what date it is yet, but it showed up in the reports, and Gary was the one who dug it out. So it was a phrase that he found in the wording in a press release that actually
that is great news for people
Right.
who want to make points on their mortgage, paying their mortgage.
Right, and also it's worth noting. So the way that this business works, right? It's a $0 a year card. You don't pay any annual
Right.
fee for the card.
Right.
Which is a beautiful thing. That's the first thing. And like you said, you get 3x at restaurant and 2x on travel. So it's not like the best, but it is close enough for.
And it's not all restaurants, unfortunately. They have a list of restaurants in a few major cities. I'm a little disappointed it's not 3x on all. You got to go to a BILT restaurant, but maybe they'll expand it out and maybe other restaurants will start taking it.
I had no idea that was the case.
Yeah, it's limited to like New York and Chicago. I think Chicago.
Let me find this here.
Yeah, you can go in, and that's my only criticism is they talk about the restaurants, but it's only BILT.
Pre-rewards points are earned per dollar spent on qualifying net purchases as retailer whose merchant code for MasterCard is classified as an eating place and restaurant. I don't think it is restricted to just some of them.
I don't know. I'm going to go into it because I watch BILT pretty closely, and I
don't think you get. I think you still get the. I think you still get the gig there for sure.
Well, okay. You want to tell us about the kid who was joking around about?
I want to before we go. So, what does BILT do in addition to that? You can you earn a currency and you can transfer it over, and on rent day, and often also without rent day, you can transfer. So it's got zero. Sign up bonus and zero annual fee. So that obviously they save a ton of miles and a ton of points or money by not offering a sign up bonus, right?
Right.
And so that's what puts them apart from the competition, like the airlines. Well, obviously the more you pay in an annual fee, the more you earn. So 3x at restaurants and 2x on travel. That's it's in the middle of the road. So 4x for restaurants is Amex Gold, which cost $250. It didn't go up a little bit per year. I don't remember. And then you have obviously 5x for American Express Platinum when you buy plane tickets. And for other travel, you have 3x on the Sapphire. But add those together, we're talking $1,500 in annual fees. So it's all math. We have to be more critical. And I like that the BILT guys are here. They're really rattling the cages. And look at the transfer partners they have. It's very diverse, and they have somebody that nobody else has. And first, you got Star Alliance. You can transfer to Air Canada, Turkish, Miles and Smiles, Mileage Plus with United, and Avianca Life Miles. And then, of course, you've got American Advantage. And that's the one that they are alone having as a transfer partner. Nobody else transfers to American because American works with Citi. And so that's why Chase and Amex doesn't transfer over to them, which it makes it a little bit more attractive for those who don't meddle in the Citi area. And you can do Cathay Pacific, which is not a unique thing. For SkyTeam, they only have Flying Blue, which is Air France and KLM. And then non-alliance have Virgin Atlantic, which everybody has, Hawaiian, which a lot of people have, and Emirates also, which a lot of people have. And also here they have Hyatt, IHG, and Marriott. And Marriott and Hyatt in the same currency, that's unique. They're the only ones that have that. But then again, it is tough to earn because there's no sign-up bonus, so that proposition is there. But when you pay the mortgage, I mean, I pay a significant amount of money in mortgages per year, so that would be interesting. I'm looking forward to that.
All right, I'm here. They're called BILT restaurants, and for example, Minneapolis is not in the list of cities, so it's not really everywhere.
I think that's extra. You get extra for those. I think you get extra for those.
All right, I'll find out.
We'll talk about that next week.
I will. I'm going out to eat tonight. I'm going to LA Sunday. I'll eat somewhere, and I'll try my BILT card.
And then put it on your BILT card and see how I get. Yes, I think you get 3. But you obviously should put it on the gold card for sure to get more of the Amex gold card.
I still don't have a gold card. You keep telling me to get a gold card. I haven't gotten one yet. All right.
So you want to talk about Sammy Nazarian. He is making a comeback.
Well, Sam Nazarian,
for those who don't know who he is,
he was a hotelier, a restaurant guy, and he was a hotelier, and he opened these hotels called SLS. Was it SLS? I think, yeah.
Yes.
That were very
lovely started.
There were all kinds of names for it, and I remember going to the one in LA. Very, very. I mean, uber hip, beyond hip. Restaurants with, I mean, all kinds of weird dishes. I ate in the one in LA. I didn't even know what I was eating. It was very interesting. It was like going to a circus or a carnival, a high-end carnival. And he built several of them around, or opened several of them, and then he sold them and sort of out of the business. But now he's cut a deal with Wyndham. Now, Wyndham, of course, is sort of a middle-of-the-road, hotel chain.
Messy. It's like by Milwaukee Airport type of hotel chain.
Right. But they brought old Mr. Nazarian in to big up themselves and get cool and hip, and we'll see if it happens. But it'll be interesting to take a brand that is not, it's certainly not Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, or any of those, or even Hyatt's. Be interesting to see what he does with them. He's going to start a new hotel line, and I don't know if I'm sure they're not going to be new builds. It'll take too long. But they'll probably try to reflag a bunch of restaurants and renovate them and make them more interesting. So good luck to Sam Nazarian,
Right. And he's also the hotels that's going to launch his style. He was planning to offer a new smart lifestyle hotel brands as a part of Wyndham Hotels and Resorts Registry collection, which is a soft brand. So, there are some of them that are already up here, and that are I see 3 of them. I see one at the where is a Jewel? Where is that?
I don't know. I'm on my phone. They're too small for me to read.
It is Agia Paraskevi. Where is that?
Where the heck is that?
That is a good question.
Sounds Eastern European there.
Chalkidiki, Cassandra Peninsula. Is that in Greece? Yes, it is in Greece.
That's Cassandra sounds Greek. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So they newly opened in 2023. So this is the registry collection. So I guess that's where he's going to be the king. He's also not just restaurants. It's also going to be hotels. So
cool. Yeah, hotels with hip restaurants. Well, good for him.
Right. Okay, so here you go. This one's for you. So you're going to have to give the written. I didn't read this article. What's this about?
Oh, the teenager?
Yeah.
So this teenager was boarding a flight in Spain to go, not far. He was going to take a short flight to Gatwick Airport. And he sent a message to a friend on Snapchat saying, and let me quote, "On my way to blow up the plane. I'm a member of the Taliban." Well,
nice.
the message was a joke, but he was using the airport's Wi-Fi network when he sent it. And some kind of algorithm must have picked up those words, because when he landed, it was after he landed, of course. So if he was really going to do it, they didn't get him in time. but he landed at Gatwick, and he was arrested and thrown into a prison cell, and he was there till 2 days till he was released on bail. And now they're saying he's going to have to pay. How much is he going to have to pay? 110,000. They had to scramble a couple of jets to accompany
I
the
saw
passenger
that.
plane.
That ain't cheap.
And they're right. They're asking him to pay, I think, $110,000 to pay for that. But what was interesting to me was that he made a joke on an electronic device that was going over the airport's Wi-Fi, and it got flagged. So be careful what you yuck about if you're texting friends on the airport Wi-Fi anywhere in the world. I was impressed by that. But again, as I say, if he really was going to blow up the plane, he was already on the plane before they arrested him. But still, do you find that unusual? That
I feel like the NSA probably was the ones who found this out. I mean, a Wi-Fi. Why it was so they've made a Wi-Fi on the whole
Yep.
at the airport.
Yeah, because he was using airport Wi-Fi. Theoretically, if he had been using, I don't know, just cellular data or something, it might not get picked up. But they say it was picked up from the airport's Wi-Fi network. So
Beautiful.
interesting.
Yeah.
I've read a whole lot of articles lately about finding cameras in hotel rooms, and I just saw something on Instagram. Somebody talking about going to Thailand and looking for cameras. Be careful about cameras in hotel room bathrooms and so on. But
Yeah.
but it seems like, I don't know. It seems like these tech things are creeping into our everyday life, not necessarily in a great way. Though, if this had headed off, a terrorist, of course, it'd be a good thing. Anyway.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to if it was a private message, they're going to have some issues if he joked about it to a friend, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to have an issue making a case on that. To be honest with you, I don't know how
No,
the laws are in the UK, but
I don't know either, or Spain, but they tell you don't joke about it when you go through TSA.
But he didn't joke about it to anybody externally. If he joked about it in private, which
Yeah,
it
that's
sounds
true.
like he did,
That's
that's
true.
kind of weird. That's I think that I would be, I wouldn't say that I joke about that because I don't find that funny. But at the end of the day, it's kids, 18-year-olds. So
Yep.
we did a lot of stupid things when I was 18. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, but this is real.
Yeah, but it wasn't made publicly. So I honestly, I think that this is out of proportion, to say the least. But anyways, all right. Have you ever been on a cruise?
Yeah, I've been on the Queen Mary across the ocean. I've been on a couple. I've been on two river cruises. Three actually, with AMA Waterways and with Viking.
Right.
And I've taken and I spoke once on a Holland America cruise to to Alaska. Why? Why do you ask?
No, I found this article about 27 cruise ship embarkation days do's and
Do's and don'ts.
Do's and don'ts. And here you have it. There is the whitest family in America with grandpa and grandma and their sons and daughters and sister-in-laws and brother-in-law all going to be white together on a cruise.
What did they do right or wrong?
No, there is some advice here, and I wanted to just go through a couple of them and see what you
Carrying
say.
your own booze on some cruise lines.
Yeah, so
they'll
do
search
check
your luggage.
that you have the necessary paperwork and documentation.
Okay, great.
I think that would probably be a general rule for when you're traveling out of the country, right?
Yeah, on any conveyance.
Do not arrive at the pier early.
Why is
Many
that?
cruise line assign passengers a staggered time to arrive at the pier. Arrive early and you'll just have to wait, often outside in the hot sun without access to waters, restroom, and other necessities.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I guess, I don't ever remember being assigned a boarding time, but maybe.
Yeah, but you probably went on like super fancy because you're a fancy guy. You probably went on a fancy.
Queen Mary isn't that fancy? And it's a big. Maybe I just went with whatever time they told me to come, and I went.
Wait a minute, you went on a cruise ship that was called the Queen and the Mary, both at the same time?
Yeah.
So,
it's like Cunard Line.
Yes, I know what it is. I think Traeger has been on a couple of those.
Who has been?
So I know you always travel with a big suitcase when you travel. So
well, because I got to carry radio equipment with me, so I have a small suitcase for that. But
they offer you to take your suitcase and bring it to your cabin. They say don't relinquish your carry-on bag. I don't usually bring a check bag or big bag, but I just keep a little backpack with my laptop and stuff in there, and I give them everything suitcase wise, and I just keep a backpack for later. They're usually pretty efficient with that stuff. All right, do be prepared to go through security. Once you prove that you belong on the ship, you will go through security. The setup is similar to an airport.
So don't bring a handgun. I mean, okay,
it's not as similar to an airport. You don't have to take crap out of your bag and things like that. It's much more efficient. But you put your belongings in a screening belt and walk through a metal detector. Wow, the Points guy, they're really going to town on baby's first trip out of the house. And don't try to sneak any banned items aboard. You mentioned that. So what is that, hooch?
Yeah, they don't like you bringing your own liquor aboard, a couple bottles of scotch. They want you to buy
water because they want to make money off of water.
Water? Oh my, I didn't know that.
You're not allowed to bring while most cruise line allow passengers to bring a small amount of alcohol, soda, and bottled water for consumption in Friday. Make sure that you have not gone over the cruise line allowance for bringing your own beverages on board. Did you know that you can't bring water?
No, that's news to me. I didn't know that.
So let's look at a Carnival Cruises. You can bring one bottle of wine. You can bring.
Okay.
And there's a corkage fee of $15 if you want to drink it outside of your
cabin.
That rum you purchase in port will be retained for you until the last night of your cruise. I wonder if you get an exemption if you can bring it limited for Disney cruises, and Disney cruises is ridiculously expensive. You can bring 2 bottles of wine or champagne, or you can bring up to 6 beers.
Yeah, so it sounds like each cruise line has different rules, and you should check them out before you go. I mean, I think that's the message of all that.
I think that you cannot bring. I don't think you can bring water either. I think you can bring like a couple of bottles, but I don't think you can. A lot of people, they brought like a big thing of Costco water and whatever, right?
Oh my God,
stuff like that. So water is expensive. If you don't have the drink package, you're screwed. Do freshen up after your flight or drive to the port. You will want to freshen up, because the fun begins at the embarkation pier.
Okay.
You'll find both official and unofficial photo spots at the terminal. Smile for the shipboard photographers. You will have a backdrop with the ship's name and the picture up, or take your own photos. Okay. So you want to make sure that you freshen up before you board. Do pause and look up as you enter the ship's atrium. Some ships' atrium are impressively high and have cool artwork or chandeliers. And this is the Disney's Wish Grand Hall. The Disney cruises are like ridiculously overpriced.
They had to stretch to get all these items up. Do look up.
Right. Don't expect to be able to go right to your cabin. Depending on when you arrive, cabins might not be ready, as the crew needs to clean and straighten them after the previous guests have left. It's best to stay out of the way until the cabin stewards and instead find a place for you and your carry-on luggage to hang out until the ship announces all cabins are ready.
Okay.
Don't follow the crowds to the buffet as the boarding process begins around noon and continues well into the afternoon. Many people arrive hungry. Crew members often direct passengers to the buffet, but experienced cruisers know there are other, often less crowded options, like Guy Fieri's poolside Guy's Burger Joint. I don't know, man. I kind of like doing the buffet. Well, actually, so when we go on Norwegian Cruise Line, we also always go to Cagney's. It's kind of become a tradition. Cagney's is like the steakhouse that they have. And when you're in the suite or you're in the Haven, you get access to that. But you can also just go in there and eat and pay like it's a specialty restaurant.
Right.
Do head to your cabin when it's ready. Do read the safety instruction and check life jacket. Do watch the safety video. Thought they had like muster drills. Don't they have that?
Everyone I've been on has had them. I suppose they're still doing them. I haven't been on a cruise in a couple of years, but
I
bet they still do.
Oh yeah, because here you go. You're required to watch a video, and I think you can do it in your smart TV will record that you have watched a video. You may also be required to check in with a crew member at your assigned muster. I think some of them do. Actually, I think the first one we didn't do it from was the Alaska cruise Melinda and I took last year. do make sure the kids understand the safety procedures.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Do go out and explore the ship. Here we go. There's a little bit of diversity there. Double whammy in a photo. And then you have do sign the kids up for cruise ship camp. I'm not sure I remember that. Do take time to veg out.
Boy, they are really stretching to make a long story here.
Yeah. Don't assume drinks are free.
Do
watch your alcohol consumption.
Oh my goodness. All right. What else?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah, I think so.
Last thing I have for today is that, no more Totsy in Thailand.
Now listen, Thailand has always been one of the strictest countries on drugs. I'm sorry?
Don't you get the death penalty for drugs?
Yes. Yeah. It was like if you brought one joint in, you'd go to jail for 20 years or something. I'm exaggerating to make a point, but Thailand was very tough. And then I go there a lot, and I visited their friends there. I visited right after COVID, because Thailand was locked up. People couldn't leave, people couldn't go in. So I went in after COVID, and I saw a few retail marijuana shops along the street. And I said to my friend Rose, who lives there, who's Thai, or a Thai citizen, I said, what's the deal here? And she said, well, it started with medical marijuana, and then these places have opened. I said, well, have they legalized marijuana? Not officially. I said, well, these are pretty fancy stores. They look like Apple stores, She said, well, I think some people are getting paid off, to look the other way, blah, 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 blah. So I was there last week for a couple of weeks. And now it's like coffee shops. There's a marijuana store on nearly every 2 blocks, everywhere. Right. Bangkok, the small island of Koh Samui, a beach island that I was on. Right. Marijuana. And about 2 days before I left, I was reading a local paper, the English language paper, the Bangkok Post, and the new government is more conservative, and they're going to close down all the recreational. They've asked their legislature, they want to close all the recreational marijuana shops. Good luck with that. There's so many of them, and there must be so many people getting a little kickback on them that I really can't imagine they're going to be able to do it. They're going to put a lot of people out of work if they do, because there are a lot of those shops. So don't go to Thailand with any drugs still. I'm not suggesting that. But if you go there right now, you'll find.
Well, I don't think that it's a good idea to bring it across international borders.
No, across any borders. But if you go to Thailand and you haven't been there in a while, you will be shocked, because it used to be one of the.
Not even domestically between states.
Yeah. Well, in the United States, right. But I mean, Thailand, as you say, Thailand used to be very tough on drugs, and now you can light up some marijuana or even hash. I think it's on some of the stores that I went into for a friend. I was looking for a friend, Tommy. Anyway, I did go in and look around, and they're selling on it. I don't know how carefully it's. Allegedly, if you buy drugs, marijuana in the United States, like California or Vegas, well, half the states in the country now almost, they monitor where the product is grown, how it's packaged. They try to guess at the strength of it. I don't know that you would have that same careful attention to detail in Thailand. So just be careful. I would not recommend buying drugs in Thailand. But anyway, you'll find them everywhere. And if you haven't been in a while, you'll be shocked. That's it.
Right. I hear you. Yeah, no kidding. Well, it's interesting to see. I didn't see that one. That came out of left field. I mean, I guess politically, they didn't change the laws properly, and then they probably can do that. I don't know how many tourists are doing it versus locals. Do you know?
Oh, I'm sure tourists are doing it. I mean, it's a big Thailand's a big country for young people going there, and I mean, there were so many shops that I never saw any of them crowded.
Right.
I mean, I walked by so many I could see. I mean, they have glass fronts, you can see everything, and I never saw anywhere with more than one person or 2 people in it.
Right.
But there's so many stores that there you go.
Interesting. Fascinating stuff. Well, guess what? That's all I had for this week. That was 45 minutes of bliss and fun, and here we are.
Well, nice seeing you, if only virtually. By the way, Tommy's outside of Sacramento in California.
Yeah.
I am right downtown St. Paul, Minnesota, and it's balmy. It's been in the 30s here, which after a week of frigid cold, apparently everybody's happy. But for a guy who just came back from Thailand, I'm not real happy. Anyway,
it's been cold there too. I mean, we had it was less than 50 the other day.
No, my God.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, I know.
Must be why I got the cold. Well, we'll see you guys next week. So thanks for joining us, Rudy. I hope you're also around next week so we can continue the conversation.
I'll be in LA. I'm going where the warm is.
Yes, and I would like to also promote tomorrow. What time are we doing that stream with Pico?
It will be 5 o'clock Central, which means 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and or 6 p.m. East Coast time. I'm
Right.
going to do a fairly long interview with Pico Iyer. He wrote a book last year about In Search of Paradise, and this is not your normal idea of paradise, beach vacation in the Caribbean, any of that. It's really he's really he lives in Japan. He's of Indian descent. He's been friends for 50 years and has traveled extensively with the Dalai Lama. And he goes to places where he feels paradise in a much more religious sense. So it's not going to be a real religious interview, but I think you'll find him fascinating. He's very articulate. He's a great writer. The book, I read the book last week, and it's just fascinating book. And so we're going to interview him. So yeah, if it's
Yeah, he's a
6
great
p.m.
writer. I've
Eastern.
read a couple of his older books. He hasn't written in a book in a while, I think.
No, he hasn't. He's written, I think,
So
15 books total. So he's not, but he's in his 70s now, I think. But he's very
so
articulate.
that's really exciting. He's a great artist. Where was he traveling to get his religious experiences? The Vatican?
No, it's more Buddhism. I mean, he and the Dalai Lama are very close. He goes to a retreat in somewhere in Central California every year for a couple of weeks. I don't know if it's a silent retreat or not, but he's always been very involved in Eastern religions. I mean, he's not a religious guru or anything. He's a journalist and a writer, but he's very attracted to the soul and well, Buddhism. But
Yes,
we'll ask about that.
you meditation and stuff.
Yeah. But
Reincarnation?
well, I don't know if he believes in it, but he certainly touches on it in this book.
Beautiful.
So we'll talk about it. So that's we'll be doing it live Friday on Facebook and YouTube, and of course we'll keep it up there if you miss it.
Yeah, maybe ask him about the reincarnation and see how he feels about that.
I will. I will ask
So
him
we'll
what
leave
his.
you with
I've
one
never.
thought. You don't have to answer it now, but we'll leave everybody with one thought today. If Donald Trump comes back, what would he be reincarnated as?
Yeah, I don't think we should touch that.
Tune in for next week and get the answer to that one. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thanks. Bye-bye.